What's up? What's up? Real MVPs, Ricky Widmer here, and welcome into another edition of MVP Sports Live right here on either twitch.tv/MVP vids or on YouTube MVP Sports. And I am joined, as I always am, with my beautiful co-host, Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
Dave, you feeling a little better today? Yesterday, I don't know if everyone knew because it was only a tweet, like before the show thing.
Twitch exclusive.
You feeling less agitated and heated than you were coming into yesterday's show?
Yeah. Definitely breathing a little easier today. Not as see what I did there. Not as concerned and frustrated and all those things. Like I'm very chill today. So yeah, I'm ready to get this going.
And we got a jam-packed show for you guys today. Going to be talking some NFL, which we haven't done in about a week or so. It's pretty been much NBA all this week with the playoffs and then the draft lottery that's coming up on Thursday. And then obviously we got NBA playoff basketball to talk about because, of course, we're going to talk about that. But before we get into everything, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. And first off, if you don't know what this is, it's MVP Sports Live, the live sports show we do every Monday through Friday, talking about the sports news that comes across our screens, and we give our opinions to you. We record it live on Twitch, twitch.tv/MVP vids, or you can catch it on YouTube, MVP Sports. The big thing for Thursday, the announcement, is that we will be live streaming the NBA Draft Lottery. Our reactions to it will be the first part of it when we're watching it. Will be with the patrons. And then Soapy, Dave, and myself are going to drop down to our recording channel and then record our reactions to the Draft Lottery. I'm throwing Soapy's name in there. He hasn't told me if he's going to or not. So I'm just throwing his name in there because if the Pistons get number one, I have to hear his reaction on that. Also, podcast services around the world. These will get there eventually. Thank you for your patience. Discord channel, if you're not in it, go ahead and join it. We had some tasty conversation after the Blazers-Lakers game last night. We've got NFL discussions going on, gaming discussions, everything that kind of floats your boat for MVP. That's either going to be down below in the description or it will be in Twitch chat. Soapy, Sean, somebody will throw it into the exclamation Discord in Twitch chat. And I'm trying to think, Dave, is that everything? I mentioned the Discord. I mentioned services. I mentioned that we're live. I mentioned the draft. I think the last thing is my draft videos. Draft videos will come out. People are like, where are the draft videos? Where are the draft videos? They are coming. We just came off a 2-month hiatus, people.
And then I took a 1-week break in the middle of that.
We're just totally like, I love it and I hate it because I love it because you love MVP and I love doing the content for it. I know Dave does too, but there's a part of me that's like, guys, this is a process. We're coming back. We're rolling stuff out. It's not just throwing it at the wall. And here's everything that we have. But thank you guys for your patience on that. My videos will be, patreon.com/MVP vids. That's how you can support the channel. And thank you to our Patreon producer, Pat Hill. But Dave, let's get into everything. And we're starting off NFL style with the New England Patriots because I'm puzzled about the Patriots because okay, I understand that you're not just going to hand the job to Cam Newton, that he's got to come in here and work and earn the job. But there's an article today, ESPN, from Mike Reese, and it says this: New England Patriots coach Bill Belichick isn't ruling anything out while figuring out his quarterback depth chart, including the possibility of a platoon involving Newton. Asked Wednesday morning before practice if it might be a benefit to pair two signal callers with various skill sets, Belichick said, "It might. I always say I'll do what I think is best for the team, what gives us the best chance to win, whatever that is. I would definitely consider it. Run unbalanced line, double unbalanced line, 22 personnel, whatever it is. If it helps us win, I would consider it." And Dave, that kind of just put the question in my head of, I'm just going to be frank with this. Would the Patriots be stupid not to start Cam Newton? Or am I just not having faith in Bill Belichick
Really,
and
you
would a
think it
platoon
is?
work?
You think it is stupid from the
A
way
little
you
bit,
laid
yeah.
it out.
A little bit. Who's your backup quarterback? Jarrett Stidham. And yes, he could prove me wrong. I love Stidham when he was at Baylor and then when he was at Auburn. But you just got rid of Tom Brady.
Right.
And I'm saying got rid of because of like the stuff that I heard when Pat McAfee was talking about with the Joe Montana stuff. But you just forced Tom Brady out. And now you have a quarterback that, yes, he's coming off of a shoulder injury, but he at his best is an MVP caliber talent. And you're like, no, I wanna do a platoon thing with him and a rookie. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
I think it was a Belichick answer, and it's exactly what I expected out of the Patriots. Okay. We'll do whatever it takes to win games. We'll do whatever puts us in the best position to win games.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that one man's going to start, one man's not. He's not saying they're both going to be out at the same time. But let's not rule any of that out, because why give the defense of the other teams a head start on game planning?
Mm-hmm.
Look, it's a short off season. Jarrett Stidham knows the offense. He knows the playbook. He sat behind Brady. He knows how Bill Belichick wants to run an offense. He knows what the system can be when it works best. And if you think that he can't make the throws that Tom Brady made last year, which were not spectacular, they were just Tom Brady wins you games with his head, not with his arm. You know, that's how Tom Brady just breaks down defenses. So if you don't think Jarrett Stidham can make those throws, then you have a problem, because he clearly can make the throws. It's down to, can he read the defense? Can he read where the mic's at? Can he read the defenders are dropping in coverage? Are we playing too deep safety? Like, what is that defense doing? What's the action coming from? That's the question in my mind. So I think that Belichick is leaning down the side of safety right now. Well, Josh is coming up with the whole playbook for how we're going to integrate Cam into this offense best, because I think it's a transitional thing. You need to at least look like a professional offense out the gates, and then if there are struggles or if there's a wall, well, Cam is still being taught the playbook, taught how they want to run an offense, or a secondary system even. Like, you need time, and you can't just expect him to walk in there and start chucking it around on no days. You know, basically he's going to have 3 weeks of practice before the first game or something like that. Like, that's asking a lot. And I know Cam Newton is a smart guy, and I know he is the better athlete. He was the better player. He probably is the better player still. I'm not really going to question that, but sometimes you do have to put out there the guy who can guide the ship, because even though they're missing pieces on that defense, this is still a very good football team.
And you make a good point of Cam Newton, even though he's a veteran, has been in the league, and he's one of the better veterans when he's at the top of his game. You're coming into a new playbook. Like, that's understandable. Maybe I'm overlooking that.
And people say that their playbook is so, I don't want to say complicated, but it's very complicated, and it changes weekly depending on match.
Yeah, it's probably the word I would maybe use is, and yet again, I'm not familiar with, like, I'm not in the Patriots locker room, is what I'm saying, is it's a more intricate kind of system than what he might have been used to in Carolina with Ron Rivera and his staff. But Jarrett Stidham, to me, like, this is not a time where usually when I come up with these arguments, I completely trash the other quarterback, but like, I have respect for Jarrett Stidham. Like I said, for Primetime Podcast, when we did that, Brandon and I liked Jarrett Stidham. I liked what I saw out of him in college. I was excited when the Patriots drafted him, because I'm like, ooh, he can sit behind Tom Brady and develop. Didn't know that would only be like 1 year. But like with Cam Newton, the thing that I just wonder is, like you say, can Jarrett Stidham make the throw? Or he can make the throws, but can he read the defense, do everything like that? If you're going to do a platoon, the whole point of a platoon is to catch the opponent off guard. And usually you have two quarterbacks that are different styles, where usually you have more of a pocket passer and then more of a runner. And these guys, like Cam, would be more of the runner, but Jarrett Stidham could also do those. I'm not saying he's on the level of Cam, but he's not just a traditional pocket passer. I wonder, how does it help you then, even though he may know the system a little bit better, that the defense could just go, okay, Jarrett's in, let's go ahead and hit them with like something that's going to confuse them. Let's load the, like, not load the box, but like let's load the box and maybe back off, or let's send an extra blitzer at him to see what he's doing. And yet again, these are all questions that will be answered when we play football games.
Yeah.
But like, if he's frazzled out there, a platoon ain't going to work, because defenses are just going to try to throw shit at you to confuse Stidham whenever he's in.
I think in recent history, the platoon at the NFL level has mostly failed. You know, it's definitely a gimmick in terms of, you know, what people count it as these days.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think the last time it worked for any extended period of time was probably like the Michael Vick year on the Eagles, when they were kind of switching off a couple times. But again, it was a while ago. They had the Lamar Jackson, Joe Flacco shit. And clearly it was just like, well, one way this team moves an offense and wins.
Yeah.
And the other guy, I know he was elite at some point and did win, you know, go to the Super Bowl and shit, but like, it ain't working for him anymore. And I think it's indecision. And honestly, it puts a lot of pressure on the offensive line and the support staff. It's not just the quarterback that's changing. They have to change. All right, when I'm blocking for Cam, I'm doing this, and I've got to watch out because Cam's got a tendency to roll out and extend plays and do this. So I need to know when I'm blocking, I'm shift blocking to the left, and then I have to turn because there's a chance that Cam could roll.
Yeah.
So you have to figure out, you know, okay, that's the way I'm going to block for him. But when Jared's in, now Jared's tendencies are to do what? Like, there's a whole nother level to it. And that's why I think it's asking a lot of your teammates on that offense to say, hey, we're going to roll with a 2-quarterback system and change dynamically like throughout the game. And you guys are just kind of go with it on the fly. Like, it fails more often than not because of that. Like, the actual idea of quarterback 1 can do this, quarterback 2 can do this, we can interchange them, you know, whenever we need to. Again, it in theory works. It's just on the field, it leads to delay of games, it leads to mistakes, it leads to poor blocking assignments, poor coverage. Actually, honestly, the only one I think works, and it's used so rarely, is the Taysom Hill shit, you know?
Yeah. Well, and
that's the only one I can think of that's actually like, it's still going on, and it does.
Do you think Belichick means that when he means platoon? Like, Cam would be the starter like Drew Brees, but then Jared Stidham would come in like Taysom Hill? Because you're right. The Taysom Hill shit works. And, like, sometimes it's a run. Sometimes it's a pass. Sometimes Taysom Hill's out there as a wide receiver, and he's catching the ball. I don't think that Jared Stidham's going to go out there and be a wide receiver. He could on this team.
Cam Newton could. Cam Newton could too. 6'8". I know he's not actually 6'8", but like, he's a big boy. He's basically a tight end.
Goal line, hey, throw it up, see if Cam could just jump up and get it. I mean,
you have options. I think there's a chance that we could see, you know, multiple quarterbacks in the backfield, and they'll be like, one goes here, one takes 3 steps out to the left, and then lines up as a wide receiver, a tight end on the line. Like, they have that option now, and I think that they've got the right offensive coordinator to use it. It's just, how much can they get in the next couple weeks? Like, it's asking a lot.
Yeah. The thing we're going to sidestep into, I'm going to flip 2 of the things that we have on here just because we'll keep the quarterbacks together. Sure. The other thing that's a huge story is Alex Smith, I think it was over the weekend, was cleared to play.
Yep.
Alex Smith is now practicing with the Washington football team.
Hell yeah.
And the thing I just want to ask you, because I've got 2 articles here that from like NFL.com, Nick Shook report like that. He reported that Alex Smith is not going to be ruled by fear in his return to the field. And then NBC Sports, their pro football talk, Josh Alper has an article about Alex Smith has thought about taking a hit more than I can say. And the thing with Alex Smith is, what does his return now mean to Washington and their young quarterback, Dwayne Haskins? Because they technically are already moving on with a guy, and now Alex Smith is back.
Are they though?
I mean,
are they? Did they just get to a situation where Dwayne Haskins had to play, and he played poorly to start, extremely poorly to start, and got better as the season went on, as quarterbacks do, because you just need more time in most cases to settle, understand the game, let it slow down for you. I think it's good news for Washington. I mean, Alex Smith, by all accounts, is an excellent human being. He's one of the smartest guys in the backfield. You know, he's excellent off the field holding a clipboard. Like, he's always going to be helpful to the team. He's someone who gets it. Like, he's a professional through and through. He's not going to be like, oh, if I'm not starting, I'm going to leave this team. Like, no. He was a guy who was moved on from because, I mean, the amount of time he had in San Francisco with the turnover in the front office, the head coach, the offensive coordinators, like, he was not given a chance to succeed until the very end of his time there, and then they moved on from him. And guess what? All he did was he went and succeeded with Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs before they got the promised one, Pat Mahomes. So, like, he's okay with younger guys coming in. It's happened to him twice. It's happened to him a third time now. And it's like, he's not going to not be good for you. But I think at the same time, like, I don't know that they're looking at him to take the job. This is very much a Washington team that, in my mind, is still not ready to compete for a playoff. Well, for a serious playoff run. Yeah. They could make the playoffs. I'm not going to rule that out because it's the NFL and there's just wild shit always happens.
And I mean, it's plus the NFC East is always a crapshoot sometimes. Like, they're the one division where it's like, if chaos can happen, it's going to be the NFC East in that division.
Yeah, but I'm not ruling out Alex Smith, but I just don't know that there's any harm in having him compete with Dwayne Haskins. I don't think it can hurt anything. If they decide Alex Smith is healthy and happy and he is confident and he will give them the best chance to win games, I don't think there's any harm in letting him start over Dwayne Haskins this year. If they struggle, they can always lean back on Dwayne, and then no matter what, he can finish out the year, whether it's 5 games or 10 games, whatever it is. And Alex Smith will be cool with that. I think he just wants a fair shot. I think that's all it is. I don't think he'll ever complain. He'll never say a bad word about the situation. They're letting him come back and play after he nearly died.
And how I'm looking at this is what it means for Washington is it's basically like if I had 50 cents and then I'm at the counter like, shit, I need another quarter. And you go, hey, Ricky, here, you got a quarter. It's like, oh, shit, I got something now that I didn't expect to have. Kind of a situation. Or if I needed an extra 50 cents, I have it. Like, you gave it to me. I didn't think I had the 50 cents, but I've got the 50 cents. And for Washington, it just means now, hey, if it ain't clicking with Dwayne Haskins, and it is clicking, because Alex Smith has a hurdle to get over. Like I mentioned with the headlines that I did, where, he's not going to let fear rule over him. But there is a mentality and a mental factor to get over taking that first hit, trusting that leg after having that kind of an injury. Like, there's no question about it. And like we talk about all the time in the NBA, like even like with torn ACLs and stuff, it's having the confidence to make those moves again, plant with it, and in football take the hit. But even if they like, okay, Dwayne's not getting it, Alex is really clicking, and they start Alex, I don't think, but it might, but I don't think it will hurt Dwayne Haskins. It all depends on his mentality. It could be good for Dwayne that, hey, it wasn't clicking. I got to do X, Y, and Z better to make sure I can be the quarterback of this team.
That's why they drafted me. Like, that's the thing. Like, if you talk to any guys in the quarterback room who have been with Alex Smith, they will all say the same thing.
He ain't going to be that dick that's like, no, figure it out yourself, Rook.
Yeah, no, he's not that guy. So I'm hopeful for Alex Smith to get back, get playing football again. If he gets to start, great for him. If not, I'm not worried about it. It's funny. He's like 39 now, right?
He is 36.
30? Oh, he's only 36.
This year he is 36.
Spring chicken. He's got years of fucking eligibility left. You know?
And that's the thing I was going to mention, where if he plays, all Alex Smith has to do is show that he can play football at close to the level he was and that leg is fine, because either one of two things is going to happen. He's going to become the starter in Washington, and basically he's the starter until they are like, okay, Dwayne's ready, or there's a potential out in his contract after this year. So after the season ends, him and Washington may come to a deal where it's like, hey, you guys are moving on with Dwayne Haskins.
Yep.
That's totally fine. I'm not mad about that. I helped him this year. But with everything, like we get to a point where he goes, with everything I've been through this year, I'm still at a caliber that I can start. You're telling me a team like Jacksonville, if he wasn't a free agent, would throw money at him? Like, and I'm not I'm not saying he's going to Jacksonville. I'm just saying, like, for Alex Smith, this could be a good thing of, like, depending on how this year goes, he may be able to get 2-3 more years out of this football life that he didn't think he would have. Like, actual starting life, not clipboard life.
I think if he looks good in camp and he gets a couple starts in and looks polished enough, then yeah, he'll be one of the most interesting names as far as quarterback availability goes going forward, because he was an excellent quarterback. He did everything required of him in KC. He looked decent, for the Redskins prior to his injury. So I think there will be some interest. I don't see Jacksonville being that team, but if another quarterback gets injured or something, if another quarterback gets injured or something, he would be at the top of the list as a professional who could step in, who knows an offense, and who could roll with a team.
And then last thing we're going to move on to kind of wrap up our football talk here for today is you brought this up after the show yesterday. There are already injuries happening in the NFL. And so I've got the kind of list, Tuesday's list of injuries that NFL.com put out there. And the first one, we're only going to like snippet some of the big names off of this, but one of these, even Sam in our Discord threw out his name. He was a signee for the Chicago Bears. Fans were excited, coming from Pittsburgh, going to help our secondary, but it looks like Artie Burns is basically, his season is over. As NFL.com says, the Chicago Bear cornerback suffered a torn ACL in Tuesday's practice. NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport reported, per source. Burns, 25, joined the Bears this offseason after 4 seasons in Pittsburgh. What does this mean for the Bears, Dave? That's where I'm going to go with this one. You being the Bears fan, I'm tossing it to you. What does this mean for the Bears this year?
I mean, he was floated just, hey, if we get anything out of this, it's going to be a benefit to us. He wasn't expected to be the number one lockdown corner on this team or anything. So it hurts, but not a ton, to be honest with you. I liked his upside. It's just he's a guy who had underperformed in his time with Pittsburgh. Can we get something out of this kid? Because he was a highly ranked recruit for a reason. He is talented. It just never worked out.
Yeah, and I mean, for like Sam had mentioned in our Discord, where like it sucks because this is something that you hate to see when like someone signs in a new place and you've got excitement for it, and then boom, an injury happens. But I will say with the Bears, this will create a little bit of a problem because obviously you got to find someone to replace them, but it's not as big of a problem as we might talk about on tomorrow's show with your quarterback situation. The other big name, Gerald McCoy, out for the year, ruptured his quad tendon, and has also brought about the release by the Cowboys. So he's no longer a Cowboy.
$2 out on his contract, which sucks.
Yeah. I mean, so they're bringing in Dontari Poe past his physical. He's going to take McCoy's spot, so they think they found his replacements. But for Gerald McCoy, this is just a shitty situation. Like, you're looking for a good year in Dallas, a Dallas team that still thinks they can win with Dak and Zeke. I almost said Zach. Dak and Zeke. But now it's like, great, I got to come off of this injury. And when I come off of it, I'm going to have to be looking for a new job.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a big ask of someone of his size. And he's got an injury history too. I think he's had a bad ankle, and I think a shoulder, a pec, and something up here, I think. If I remember right. So like, yeah, it's rough. It's a ruthless business though. Like, hey, they can get their out. They're going to protect themselves. They'll do it. I don't blame them for it. It's just that's the way it's set up.
And I'm looking here, Gerald McCoy. I'm trying to think. Yeah, he was with the Panthers last year. That's right. Because I was like, I knew he was with Tampa. He was with Tampa from 2010, 2018. He was with Carolina last year. This would have been his first year with the Cowboys. The other injury I just want to bring up is AJ Green. So it's not anything like a quad rupture or an ACL. But to me, I'm sitting here thinking, is this going to be something that develops into anything this year? Where they say AJ Green was held out of Tuesday's practice after tweaking his hamstring on Monday. Green was at Bengals practice, but was not wearing pads. Coach Zach Taylor said he was holding Green out as a precautionary measure and that he doesn't expect him to participate in a scrimmage later this week. I've seen him practice for 2 days. Obviously, he needs to develop that chemistry with the quarterback, but again, nothing I'm concerned about right now. And yes, Coach Taylor, going to say nothing to worry about right now, but as a football fan and somebody who knows AJ Green's history, I look at this and I go, please don't get hurt again. Please don't. Like, I love seeing AJ Green on the field, and I want to see what him and their now star first overall quarterback in Joe Burrows can do for this team. No, it's not Joe Burrow, people. It's Joe Burrows. What him and Green can do. This one's like a please, please, please don't turn into something and don't be riddled with injuries this year.
I'm with you on that one. It's sad to see because the Bengals are a team, like you said, they're finally looking like they have fun upside again. Mm-hmm. No disrespect to Andy Dalton and his tenure there, but they petered off so hard at the end. And now like that new quarterback, they've got great talent at the wide receiver position. A couple draft picks up there, a couple guys who perform really well without AJ Green out there. Mm-hmm. They look loaded out there with weapons for him, and I hope to see him return. Hopefully it's nothing, like they said, nothing too serious, but he's someone who's going to be playing carefully for the rest of his career probably.
Well, Dave, it's time to now pivot, go into a segment we love here on MVP Sports Live. This is kind of our player of the day moment. These are our dampest of dudes, our soggiest of shooters, our moistest of men, and sometimes our mistiest of misses. These are our wet boys. If you're new to wet boys, like I said, it's our player of the day from the previous day before. Dave gives a player, I give a player, and then our patrons at the silver and above tier, they give their wet boy, their collective wet boy. It's a voted on thing. And they do that. Patreon.com/MVP vids to join in on that. But Dave, we'll get right to it. Who's your wet boy for August 19th, 2020?
Yeah, for his performance yesterday afternoon, I think as we were recording this show, I have to go with the one, the only, the Jimmy Butler.
So
Jimmy loves it.
Production thing really quick.
Yeah.
I forgot to preload them, so I'm going to switch it over, and it's not going to be Jimmy Butler right away. I'm just warning the masses out there. So
you got to work on that pregame shit.
Yeah, it's one of those days. Like Soapy said yesterday for Games Daily. Sometimes it's a technical issue, sometimes it's a big brain issue. But Jimmy Butler's now on the screen for you, Dave.
Thanks. I appreciate the delay. Nah, Jimmy did everything Jimmy was supposed to do yesterday. He dominated on defense. He dominated on offense. He knocked down his threes, which is a fucking rarity for him this year. So I want to give him credit. He was everywhere. He was like fucking glue out there. I mean, the Heat just dominated the Pacers, and I understand it's a Pacers team that is not 100%. With that being said, y'all still got dominated by them. It is what it is, and like they didn't even have a great shooting day from everybody. Mm-hmm. So like I want to just give that love, give that credit to Jim Butler. I don't know why I said Jim. Jim's weird.
Jim
I
Butler.
remember he made that whole thing about that, like don't
Jim
call me
Butler.
Was it one of the coaches called him Jim? And It was like, no, it's not Jim.
It's Jimmy. Jimmy don't like that. Jimmy don't like that, Dave. For mine, I had a bit of a tough choice picking mine again. I had two tough choices. Number one, I was like, do I stay with basketball because it's the playoffs? Or do I venture out to something else? And I almost wanted to give it to Dame Lillard for like the shot he hit and stuff in game one. Would have been okay. But here's my thought process in that.
James, that's what it was.
Business ain't over. The job is not done, Dave. We're not going to give credit until the job is officially done and the Blazers beat the Lakers in 4 games.
Sure.
But I'm going to the diamond for mine. There were 3 that I was choosing from, and mine is going to be, it is not Donovan Mitchell. He was yesterday, but I'm going to the White Sox, Dave. Tim Anderson gets my wet boy for today. So he had 3 runs, 3 ribbies, a home run. He went 4 for 5 in the game. Absolutely stunning. Like, it was either him, Ahmad from the Diamondbacks, who had 5 ribbies.
Yeah, that's insane.
He went 4 for 5, but he struck out once. Timmy A didn't strike out. Or Carlos Santana, who also had 5 and a home run, like 5 ribbies and a home run. But 2 for 5, I was like, come on. Like, Timmy A's getting on base more. Ahmad's getting on base more. So going with Tim Anderson, our second White Sox player, to go ahead and get the award. And then Dave, our patrons, they are going back to the NBA well. Jamal Murray was theirs yesterday. He's not having too hot of a game today. But they went with none other than Nikola Vucevic. Vuce Main.
Straight up.
Getting his wet boy, 35 points, 14 boards, had a day as the Bucks lost to the Magic in game 1.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was a surprising upset again. We should just say Magic in game 1 will win 2 years in a row. They beat the Raptors last year.
Mm-hmm.
They beat the Bucks this year. Fear for the wrath that will come from an angry Giannis upon their souls in the next game tomorrow. But credit to him, Vucevic went off. T. Ross went off. Markelle Fultz went off. So credit to the Magic. Love them. Hope the best for them. Good luck trying to deal with Giannis going forward.
So I got a little bit of a history lesson here before we get into the NBA playoffs. I saw today on Instagram that this is the first time both 8 seeds have won game 1 since 2000 and it was like 2003. And here's what happened in those playoffs, because I had to go back and look. So that was the year the Magic beat the Pistons in game 1.
Okay.
And the Suns beat the Spurs in overtime. And I wanted to see, I'm like, how did those 2 1 seeds end up in the playoffs? Well, Detroit won in 7 games. Oh. They then went on to the Eastern Conference Finals before losing. Mm-hmm. The Spurs, on the other hand, won in 6. They went on to win the NBA Finals that year. So my thought process is that the Lakers, if this history ends up right, the Lakers will win, the Bucks will win, but the Lakers will then lose to the Clippers in the Western Conference Finals, and hey, who knows, the Bucks then get to the NBA Finals.
I don't know about that. Some people might have some other opinions.
Basically, one's getting to the finals, one's losing in the conference finals, as if history repeats itself. Okay. I would give my credit more to the Clippers beating the Lakers than the Celtics or Raptors beating the Bucks, but really the Bucks aren't that confident of a team. But let's get into these NBA playoffs, and we will talk about those Lakers. Losing to the Blazers in game 1. The question I want to ask with this one is, did the Blazers win or the Lakers lose? Because I'm taking a quote from our Discord from Jake Neverman, where he even said, he's like, oh, if AD does this and LeBron becomes aggressive earlier, not a problem. Or I think he was like, if the bench plays better and LeBron becomes aggressive earlier, it's not a problem. Is that it? Is this like an easy fix for the Lakers, or did the Blazers really win this game and prove that they could be a problem for the Lakers?
I mean, everyone can be a problem for the Lakers. They only have one person who can handle the ball. I think my favorite comment was they have one person who can handle the ball at above the 5th grade level. They literally have no other ball handlers. I know it's sad when your hope is that Rondo is coming back, the guy who has just been slammed all season by Laker fans, by national basketball fans, for being like, man, he's washed up, he's done, he's a net negative on your team. Caruso's better than him, this guy's better than everybody's better than him. He shouldn't get minutes anymore. You know what Rondo can do? He can hit an open 3 at a pretty good fucking clip. He can also dribble. He can also pass. Mm-hmm. When LeBron James was off the court, they were abysmal. There's a reason Anthony Davis was a negative 20 box plus minus. Like, you have to understand that offense grinds to a fucking halt without LeBron James out there because nobody else can run the fucking off. Apologize for all the fucking right now. It's frustrating to watch
Dave's
them.
like, I am so frustrated with this team, with this
It's
series.
frustrating to watch them because it's like, I understand exactly why they're losing. You know, Danny Green going cold hurts. You know, them not having KCP being just on the court is basically his contribution to the team right now. Like, there's so many guys out there where it's just, I understand how this team was supposed to work on paper. It's not right now because people are out. Obviously, they're definitely missing Avery Bradley, missing Rondo. They're missing a lot of pieces. And J.R. Smith freaking trending on Twitter because he's not getting minutes. Like, there's just a whole lot to be disappointed with, but it's not shocking to me that the Blazers had an excellent game and beat them because the Blazers are a more complete team. I think the Lakers have better players at the 1 and the 2, but Blazers are deeper completely. Like, it's not even close to the level of talent. If you go 1 through 8, it's a smear. It's not even close.
Yeah, where like I'm looking at, so the two things I'm thinking of. Number one's a quick question of, you mentioned like players who aren't playing, and then like he doesn't have the players, but could we put a little pressure on Frank Vogel that, hey, if you're such a good coach and was the man picked for this job, like, should you be doing more to try to put this team like in a better situation? But yet again, if you don't have any ball handlers, it's not like you can say
47 minutes. Is that okay?
I mean, and J.R. Smith is the one where I'm like, maybe J.R.'s got a point. And I know that many people say Campbell Soup's got a point. But I look back to the Cavs team, the last Cavs team with LeBron, where we always look at it to where it's like, how did this team get to the finals? Oh yeah, LeBron James. But like, I look at just the playoff minutes, 32 minutes per game was going to J.R. Smith, somebody who, if you needed him to handle the ball, could handle the ball. George Hill, 29 minutes, could handle the ball. Like, are they elite ball handlers? No. But they had guys that, like, at least two that could handle, like, I mean, but then George Hill more than, like, they at least had George Hill who could handle the ball more than anyone the Lakers have. So, I mean,
Rondo is their hope. They need playoff Rondo, baby. Like,
and are they going to get playoff Rondo? Like, there's speculation that he's not even going to be the same person that he used to be.
Well, no shit. He got hurt. Like, it's been a long time since he was in game shape. It's been since March since he's played.
COVID.
Yeah, he played in like a game in the bubble before he got hurt. Like, that's not even enough to get warmed up. So, no, I mean, like, it's going to be a big ask on Rondo if they give him minutes to go out there and deliver at a playoff level. I'm not putting it past Rondo because that man has an insane competitive drive. Like, he's definitely up there in the Kobe levels of love of the game and hatred of other players to be better than them. Like, he's got that in him, and that's why I love Rondo. He's been one of my favorite players. I understand why Mavs fans hate him, but sorry, he thought he was smarter than your coach, and that's TBD still. But I just look at that whole step of hopes and prayers are with Rondo to help the Lakers win, because otherwise LeBron has to go like Super Saiyan and take no rest, which if LeBron's playing 40-plus minutes a night for the entirety of the playoffs, I don't know if he can keep that up. You know? You might burn out LeBron before they make it, but if you don't do that, are you going to get knocked out in the first round? That's what Frank Vogel has to figure out.
I mean, and also, wasn't the point of LeBron coming to the Lakers so that he didn't have to do this? I get that the team, like, this might not be the final form of the team. They might be that one star away. Like, I'm going to throw it out there. I'm not going to say this is happening. This is speculation, but like a Bradley Beal type trade away. Like, star coming in.
You got to move Kuzma. You got to move a couple other pieces to get Bradley Beal. Mortgage your future even further, but then they would have a chance at least. Because
I mean, that would also be a second ball handler. But the rest of this series, I think the Blazers showed in game one that, hey, we should be taken seriously by this team, and that this is going.
Has that up in the second quarter.
Yeah, this is going to be a series that I think game one showed why it's going to go the distance or go at least 6 at best, because even in the game, like, the Lakers came back, They had the lead. If Kyle Kuzma, like, he became a fire starter a little bit in there, and it's like, damn, Kyle Kuzma is actually playing good right now. Kind of like the Kyle Kuzma we saw in that Nuggets game, where he played well down the stretch. Hit the
every
game.
8 games or so.
Yeah, he's not consistent, but can he give you that game to get them back in it? It's just the Blazers right now have, like, Gary Trent Jr. down the stretch was big. Melo was big down the stretch. Lillard was big all game for them. So it's like, can the Lakers overcome
Lillard
this?
got other people hot. Like, Lillard being hot got other people hot. It was kind of nuts to watch.
And like I mentioned, Gary Trent, he went 2 for 6 with 5 points. But down the stretch, when he hit, I think it was a 3. When he hit that 3, it's like, holy shit. That was almost like a dagger. Melo hitting a shot before that and then getting the defensive board after that. Like, they're getting key plays.
I've never rooted I love rooting underdog, I should say. But, like, the Lakers, it didn't seem like a thing. It seemed like the Lakers were the underdog in this series, you know?
Yeah.
Watch that. Philly Sean on Twitch saying, thought, all right, let me run through this full thing. You know, he's talking a little bit of shit about Rondo. The thought was that Lonzo would be there and he could ball handle. You know, would this Lakers team have been better if Kuzma was traded instead of Lonzo Ball?
A little bit, I would say so. Lonzo can at least handle the ball and pass the ball. Like, here's the thing I like about Lonzo being here instead of Kuzma is I would still be playing AD out there when LeBron's on the floor or off the floor, I should say.
Duh.
And just like LeBron feeds the big man down low, Lonzo can do the same thing, and Lonzo can shoot from the outside.
Can he though?
Yeah, he can hit a 3 or 2. I'm not saying he's a sharpshooter. Like, he's
not
got a janky shot, but, like, he can get the ball to AD when LeBron's not out there, and he can shoot an occasional 3.
Look, I like him. He can shoot them. He can't make them.
I mean, he can probably make 1 or 2. Enough to add some points.
He's going to shoot out there. If he's going to make 2, he's going to shoot a lot.
AD's just got to run down the court, and Lonzo can throw him a full fucking court pass, man. Just watch Zion do it. Zion can do it. AD can do it, right?
And I'm not a Lonzo Ball hater. I like Lonzo, but you can't say that he is a good shooter. He's an above-average passer. Mm-hmm. He's an above-average defender.
I'm just saying he's good enough at shooting.
Okay. In the bubble, I will give him credit. In the bubble, I think he was shooting at like around 40% from 3. Mm-hmm. But his free throw is also at like 50%, you know? Like, he's not all there yet. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they're a better team with him over Kuz. I think it's an easier fit, but they might still be better with Kuz out there.
The other team I want to mention, and we want to talk about, you gave one of their players a wet boys.
Yep.
The Miami Heat.
Yeah.
Did the Miami Heat in Game 1, overreaction to Game 1, did they show that they're built and ready for a deep playoff run this year? Maybe, I'm not saying finals, but the thing I'm thinking, could they be last year's Portland team? Could they be a team that makes a run to the conference finals and then gets bounced?
I mean, I think they are a team that can get there purely because of the defense. The defense is the thing that night in, night out, they've done the most cardio in the league. They're in the best shape in the league. That's always been Miami's thing, is they're going to work harder than you to get there. And I think they've got the perfect guy to exemplify that on the court now. It matches the front office. They got Jimmy Butler out there who can do everything. So, sorry, I looked down and Sophie's making brick comments.
Yes, that's what I like. I went like the overreaction to laugh at that.
Yep. But no, this is a team that's still so young. So their expectations, I don't think they proved anything in that game. They should have beat the Pacers. They did beat the Pacers. There's something to be said about doing that because clearly not every team can. Mm-hmm. When you're the Bucks and you get embarrassed by the Orlando Magic out there, clearly these are all professionals. These are the top 500 players in the game. Mm-hmm. You know, there are no days off. So I like them. I think they're a team that's going to make out of the first round. The second round is going to be a bloodbath, and that's when they're going to show what they're made of. You know, they've got so many young guys. I just don't know. And like we saw in the first game, not everybody's going to have it every night, but they got enough guys who can hit shots that they can get there. You know? Today
I saw something on Twitter. I don't know who it was from, like someone credible or just like a fan, but some people were making fun of it, where it was a picture of Bam then the greater than sign, and then a picture of cat.
Oh,
Bam, greater than cat. And I saw people were like, dude, like, brah, what are you talking about these days? But I'm with you. I don't know if this means that, yes, they're going to make a deep playoff run. I would love to say it because that's what I predicted. But I think what it is I think after seeing game 1 of the Bucks and game 1 of the Heat, that second series, if it's Bucks Heat, that is going to be, it could be a rude wake-up call for the Milwaukee Bucks, because the thing in my head I'm thinking about is that Milwaukee does enough to come back and beat Orlando in like 5, like even if it's 5, but like 6 games, let's say the Magic get another one on them. And they win in 6. I feel like this Bucks team showed enough struggles against an Orlando team that we thought they should easily have handled, that now you got to play, like, the thing with Jimmy Butler, and we mentioned this in our predictions, he's getting the young kids to play better. And like, yes, like these young kids, like for example, like Tyler Hero had 15, but like Duncan Robinson only had 5. He went 2 of 8 in the game. But they've got one of the best, I'm going to say the best motivators, even though like in Chicago he wasn't, but that's because, like I've mentioned before, like looking back on it, that Chicago team that we had with Fred was not built for Jimmy's leadership.
It's there are styles of leadership, and Jimmy is a tough love kind of guy.
Jimmy's gonna call you out. Jimmy's gonna, like, the whole coffee thing. Lunches. Like Jimmy's basically gonna beat you down to make you stronger, kind of a thing. Where it's like when you get to a game and the opponent is trying to bring you down mentally and stuff, they ain't gonna get a chance because I already did it.
But
You've
the other
already
thing
dealt
is,
with the worst in practice.
Like, I'm not going to ask anything from you that I wouldn't do myself.
Exactly. Like it's the same mentality that Jordan had. I'm not saying Jimmy Butler's Jordan, but I'm just saying it's the same thing that Jordan had. Like, and I honestly think, yes, we have a whole rest of the first round to go. Right now, after game 1, if I'm the Bucks fans, I ain't scared of Orlando. I'm scared of Miami, though. I'm scared of seeing the Miami Heat in the second round.
They should be scared of Miami. Miami's had a good matchup against them multiple times this season.
Mm-hmm.
And also, we haven't seen Kendrick Nunn. So Nunn didn't play. He was, bumped out of their starting lineup. I checked to see if there's any injury or anything. Mm-hmm. Nothing was publicly made. He was just a coach's decision, did not play.
Mm-hmm.
All Spose had to say was, when you go into a playoff situation, you need a veteran playoff experienced players. That's who Goran is. He's battle tested. He's been through so many veteran playoff minutes. He's able to change his role on the fly and go back to the starting line.
Okay.
So we'll see. I don't know if we're going to see Kendrick Nunn play or not play as the series continues. Mm-hmm. I'll be interested to see what's up. Maybe it's punishment. Maybe it's something else going on. We just got to keep it close here.
And Goran had a good game. He had 25 points.
Goran's a good player.
Lineup.
Good player.
Good player. The last thing we're going to go on into is college football. And it's really the chronicles of COVID, life in a college season. So we've got a little bit more updates, one of which broke actually during the show, Dave. So we got a little bit of an update during the show. So the first article I'm going to mention is from ESPN, and it's Penn State football coach James Franklin frustrated by Big Ten communication on postponement. Basically, it says, speaking on a video conference with reporters, Franklin, who's the coach of Penn State, said he has struggled to provide answers to his parents and their parents regarding the reasoning or timing for the postponement. The Big Ten on August 11th announced its decision to postpone because of coronavirus pandemic, just 6 days before revealing the schedule for the fall football season. The Big Ten now, as we are recording the show, this is from Heather Dietrich at ESPN. Big Ten Commissioner Kevin Warren on Wednesday released an open letter to the conference community stating that the vote by the Big Ten's Council of Presidents and Chancellors was overwhelmingly in support of postponing fall sports and will not be revisited. The decision was thorough and deliberate and based on sound feedback, guidance, and advice of medical experts, Warren wrote in his first public comment since announcing the decision on the 11th. Despite the decision to postpone fall sports, we continue our work to find a path forward that creates a healthy and safe environment for all Big Ten student athletes to compete in the sport they love in a manner that helps to prevent the spread of COVID-19 and protects both student athletes and the surrounding communities. Here's the question, though, Dave. And This question comes from good old friend from the SEC. He was once there, then he left for the Pac-12. Now he's back in the SEC. Ole Miss football coach Dave Lane Kiffin has some stuff to say.
I'm sure it's enlightening.
Where Ole Miss football coach Lane Kiffin said players whose conferences have been postponed fall sports should be free to transfer without penalty. During an appearance on SEC Network on Tuesday, Kiffin said, "It is a shame that players are unable to do so. Kids are having their schools or their conferences deciding to shut down so they can play, and a lot of them have a lot of money on the line with the next level, or they just want to play their last year," Kiffin said. "So it's really unfortunate that the NCAA is not allowing them to transfer and be eligible immediately. We're being told that won't even go into a waiver process, so I feel really bad for those kids. It's not their fault. Why can't they come play somewhere? That doesn't make any sense to me." Dave, does Lane Kiffin have a point here? Let's say you're a Big Ten player and you're like, I understand your decision, but I should be able to go play somewhere. Does Lane Kiffin have a point? Or is this just irrational, not thinking about how serious this pandemic is?
No, I mean, like, if other leagues are going to continue, if the SEC, if, whoever is going to continue playing sports in the fall, open it up for them without penalty, sure. I don't think sports should be played in the fall at all. That's my opinion. I think it's a dumb risk that goes without reward, and schools are incredibly boneheaded for pursuing that route and not forcing, but allowing sports to be played against best medical practices, wishes, whatever you want to say, practices. It's dumb. It's dumb to me that this is a thing that we're even talking about. Like, they should be canceled. Like, there's no question in my mind that's the right move. Yeah. We're going to have countless people get sick for literally no reason because of this. So feel free and transfer. But then guess what? If somebody transfers to a school and then gets sick, like, what happens then? Well, I don't know. I think the whole thing should just be everybody gets another year back on their, college eligibility. Like, if you would, and a free transfer. I don't think that's too much to ask for.
Here's the thing I kind of think of in my mind is I agree with you where it's like because let's be honest, the seniors and even the juniors who are in the NFL draft, like the Mika Parsons of the world and the Trevor Lawrences of the world, they're gone. They're in the NFL. They know they're going to be in the NFL. Yep. Here's the can of worms, though, that this kind of opens up is, do you only allow seniors from the conference to transfer? What if I'm a junior and I would have started and then I want to go to the SEC, but then you don't get to come back to, like, you're then making a decision as a junior that impacts you more. Like, if you're a junior and you think you're going to go to the NFL, then what if you don't get the grade you want? And you're like, shit, I didn't expect to come back to college, but I got to come back because I want to up my draft stock.
Yep.
But now I got to do it here at Ole Miss again, and I had a better situation in Ohio State. Like, yes, you should say yes, they're adults, like they're over 18. They have the choice.
Like, college athletes give a shit about the school. Like,
I'm just saying, like, a situation.
Like, that is not.
No. I'm not saying classes. I'm saying, like,
you said I gotta get my grades up and I gotta graduate.
I meant basically I meant draft grades. Like, my draft grades up.
I was like, these kids in class.
No, I'm not saying class. I'm saying, like, draft grades. And it's like, great, I got to come back to, like, Ole Miss, Alabama. Like, I got to come back to this school that I thought I'd only be here a year. Like,
Right.
it'd be a messy situation. It's just easier to say no, and you get a year back in your eligibility. It's the easiest thing. I agree with you. Shouldn't even be a season. Shouldn't even be talked about.
I think that's what will happen eventually. It's just you can't have some groups of schools still playing football and others not. It just has to go back. Everybody has to take a year off, and that's totally fine.
There's a part of me that thinks hell will freeze over before the SEC misses a football year. And that sucks to say. But like in my head, like you say, everyone should. And it's like I giggle because they're the only one that, like, I know the ACC's in on it too, but I feel like they're just in it for the money. Where the SEC, I thoroughly believe that conference thinks, oh, nothing's wrong. We could play football. And is not thinking about their students.
There's no risk to them in putting students' lives on the line, is what they're saying.
Yeah.
So, like, we don't care about your life, your well-being. We see you as a product, and we want to profit from it. And if we're not profiting from it, then what are we doing here?
Yeah, exactly. But that is going to do it for MVP Sports Live today, August 19th. I want to thank you guys for, if you're watching on Twitch, thank you for watching the show live. You can always catch it on YouTube if you miss a show. And if you're on YouTube right now, come check us out live between 4:30 and 5 Central Time each and every Monday through Friday. We are live doing our best to give you our opinions on the sports topics we talk about each and every day. Discord's open to everyone. Make sure you join that to get in on the MVP community and the conversation. Link down below or in Twitch chat. We'll be streaming the NBA Draft Lottery tomorrow, so come and hang out with us here at twitch.tv/MVP vids for that. And then patreon.com/MVP vids to help support us. Want to thank you guys all for watching, listening. Twitch Games Live will be coming up next, but as always, have a good day, everybody.